Yeah, I was just asking you. This is the home you grew up in. It's a little different now than it was when you grew up here. Yeah, but it still feels like home. I mean, like, what memories do you think of when you were growing up? Like, what was the general feeling of, I don't know, being in? I know you teach preschool, but like even going back to elementary school and stuff like that. Like, when you think back to that time, what was that like for you? You know, back then.
I always remember Christmas, because I was the first one awake, and I'd run into my sister's room, wake her up, and be like, we have to go see what Santa left us. And it was like 3 or 4 in the morning.
That is awesome.
And like we ran into my parents' room, and they're like, not yet. And I was always like, yes, it's time. And
that was me too.
So I remember that, and
yeah.
I held my sister's hand, pulled her into the living room, and was like, no, let's go. So that's what I always remember when I'm in this house, like Christmas morning. And
you guys do it right. I mean, you look around here, and, of course they can't see everything, but like everything in this house is just like impeccable Christmas spirit.
Christmas and Disney is big around here.
Christmas and Disney.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. So, you know, I think when people look at you, Jacqueline, they see your transformation, and like we talked about, losing 300 pounds is incredibly impressive.
Thank you.
In its own right, but I think what I'm excited to talk with you about is all the really impressive parts of your journey that people don't know about, because they can't be easily distinguished in before and after photos.
Right.
How much of, like, if someone came to you in a similar spot that you were once at, they were 500, 400 pounds, whatever it may be, and they said, I want to lose a lot of weight, what would be some of the first advice or warnings you might give them that maybe you never got?
I think the biggest thing I could say is do it for you. You can't do it because someone else wants you to lose weight. You can't do it because you want to impress anyone, or because everyone else is doing it or you think that's what you should do. You have to do it because that's what's right for you and what you feel is right for you. And then know it's not going to be easy. There's not a magic pill, a wand, a wrap that's going to get you the results. To know it is going to be hard, but you have to know that you can do it. So to believe in yourself, and to know that when it does get challenging, that love and that commitment to want to do this, and that's why doing it for yourself is so important, because it is going to get hard and there are going to be challenges along the way. But if you remind yourself why you're doing it, and it's for the reasons that mean so much to you, I think that definitely will help so much than trying to do it to impress a guy or to do anything like that. It has to be because you want it. And so when all those struggles come up, it's easy to remind yourself why you're doing this and to keep going.
It's amazing, because I imagine that as your journey went on, your why transformed and became even deeper, and the roots grew, you know, even further. I want to like set the stage though too, just because I'm fascinated about your story, in that, you know, when you hear 300-pound weight loss, again, big number, so much to push through, so you must have had an amazing why. But I'm curious too, like the backstory to what led up prior to that moment. You know, take me through again. Like, were you a kid that struggled with your weight growing up, or was that something that happened later in life where you started gaining weight, or?
I always struggled with it. And I remember at an early age, my parents even brought me to like a nutritionist and was like, what can we do? Like, she's not eating that much differently than my sister, who was always skinny. But she's gaining so much weight. And they thought maybe there was different issues. They tested me for a bunch of stuff, like at a young age. It came back, I was normal, fine. There was no medical things wrong with me. I was active. I did gymnastics and ballet and swimming. But it was just, I think, I'm not really sure what it was, but I definitely think as I got older, it was, and I was an emotional eater. I feel like my sister had a very outgoing personality, and I was more the reserved one, so I kind of held back a lot. And so I think, I'm not really sure what happened, but I definitely started turning to food a lot more. And then I turned into kind of like, oh, she's just the shy fat girl.
Right.
Kind of
that
became
like
who I was.
like your identity.
Yeah.
That must have been hard then, growing up. You have just one sibling, or and she's older?
Older, yeah.
Older. So how much older?
3 years.
So 3 years older. So I imagine that, you know, that you look up to her when you're little and stuff. And here you are struggling with your weight. She's not. Here you are trying to find you're feeling comfortable in yourself, and she seems to do it so freely. It's like,
Right.
that must have been hard to have that sort of dynamic. And I don't know, like growing up, how did that stuff play out at school? I was a kid that was overweight, and I know from my own experience, often when you're the biggest kid in your class, it's like you either need to know how to hide, or you need to know how to make people laugh or be entertained. Otherwise, it's going to be a rough go. So what was it like for you?
I think I was turned into like a people pleaser. So I was just so nice to everyone, and everyone was like, oh wow, you're so nice, you're so nice. So then I just kept getting that. But then, like, I remember growing up, like, for PE and things where you had to run, that was so hard for me because I couldn't do it. And then being, like, the last one to ever finish, or, like, in sports, like, you had to play kickball with, like, your classmates, and they picked teams. Like, you're the last one picked all the time. So I think you do have to kind of turn to a way, like, try to make a joke about it so you're not crying in front of everyone because you feel so bad about it. So it definitely turned into, I was just nice to everyone, pretended I didn't care, it didn't bother me, made jokes about it, and then would go home and try to, feel better and maybe eat or...
Well, and that's the thing, like, this is the thing that people, I think, don't get who've never struggled with it. But like you talked about, there's so much incongruence. Like, you have to put this face on to the world that everything's okay when it's really not.
Right.
That things don't bother you when they really do. To the point that you even lose probably touch with knowing what actually, you don't even know what you're feeling, right?
Right.
And then, but then the ritual of coming home, people think, oh, you just struggle with willpower because you're overweight. But the reality is, like, when you came home, what was the ritual like? And I'm sure there was some comfort involved with food. When you would come home, would you eat when you got home, like, almost instantly, as a way to kind of like disassociate, turn your brain off, to find comfort in the tough days and stuff?
I think so. And then I wasn't one who would go, like, talk to my parents about it, like, oh, I was made fun of or no one picked me, because I didn't want them to feel bad for me, or go talk to the teachers and then make things like a bigger issue.
Because they would have jumped in. And,
Definitely. If I said anything, they would have been in the principal's office. Like, so I didn't want that attention, or like anyone to be like, how do you say it? Like, if they tell the teacher and then the teacher tells the class, okay, well, she got upset because no one picked her. Like, I did not want any attention like that. So then I think I kept everything inside for so long with all of it. So then when you came home, you could finally be yourself, and just kind of kept turning to food.
So I know it's a part of your story, and you've done so much amazing growth to move beyond it. But I also know that, how is that to talk about it now? Like, how does it feel to even just, like, acknowledge that stuff?
I think it's very interesting that, like, in the moment you don't think of all these things that played a part to get you where you were. Like, for me, at 500 pounds, you don't think that could have started at an early age. And if I had, maybe someone to talk to, or if I did share my feelings or what I was going through, would that have helped? And I would have gotten to this point. I don't think you realize how much, like, deeply rooted that was from, like, so young. And you feel like it's just, okay, right now I'm overweight and I need to do something about it. And and that's why I think we've talked about that a little bit before, is it's not just, let's go on a weight loss and lose weight and then everything's going to be better.
Yeah. It's
dealing with a lot of issues that for a lot of people have been in there for a long time.
Well, yeah, and I heard a quote once that I end up probably saying almost daily, which is, taken out of context, I might seem strange. And I think that's so true. When we don't know people's backstories, the things they do seem really odd. Same goes for ourselves. And sometimes we can lose sight of how we got where we got. And that's the same with, like, emotional eating, for example. And I think when you paint the picture, and that's why I'm so glad that you're willing to be courageous and vulnerable and sharing this, because I know people can relate to it. I can relate to it, that growing up, if you paint the picture in the context, it's not just, well, I like to eat, simple as that, which is what a lot of society thinks about people that struggle with their weight. But instead, it's, there was a snowball effect at an early age of not being sure what was going on and why you were gaining weight. and then having the outgoing older sister and feeling like you weren't really confident in yourself, and not feeling like you couldn't necessarily have an identity outside of people pleasing, holding so much in. And then food was like your way of comforting yourself. So when I look at it in those ways, and I wonder, when you look at it in those ways, are you able to see that, looking back, like food was really part of the way you kept yourself safe?
Right. Exactly. And I think that's a huge part that is not talked about, because I know I got all the time like comments, why didn't you just stop eating? Why did you get yourself to 500 pounds? Why didn't you just stop and exercise? It's easy. Like, why didn't you just do that?
But it's not, and it's
right.
Yeah.
Like, there was so much going on, and I think for so long, like I said, I took on the role as the shy fat girl who was nice to everyone, and even though that's not who I was inside, that's who I became. So then I got to a point where I didn't even know who I was.
You lost.
And so then you just kept being the shy fat girl. So, you know, you didn't know who you were, but you knew that wasn't you. But you didn't have the confidence to kind of be who you wanted to be. And so for years, that's just who I was.
I'm always fascinated by stories because, you know, the stories we tell are powerful. Eventually we live them. And like you said, the shy fat girl, like that was your story. Are you living that now today? Are you the shy fat girl?
No.
Well, if you had to
I
characterize
feel like she's
yourself,
still in there a little bit, but I try to not let her come out as much.
She's almost there, like at times, to probably as a default to survive.
I think when, like, for example, we went to the beach in Mexico 2 years ago, and I had gone through 3 skin removal surgeries. Every time we went swimming, I had a big shirt, shorts to cover myself up. And this year, I still had tons of loose skin on my legs, like, and I was like, I'm not gonna cover myself up. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be that girl who used to do that. So I took the bathing suit off, nervous a little bit, but I was like, you've got this, you're gonna do this. And I got made fun of by a couple sitting at the pool. Like, they literally started pointing, laughing at me, calling me fat.
Are you kidding?
And in that moment, I feel like that girl was there. And I was like completely at the lowest I could have ever been. And I thought, well, I'm gonna just put my cover up on, go back to the room. I'm not doing this. I can't do this. And then I think I was like, no, I'm not letting them stop me from doing this. I walked by them, smiled, got in the pool, and I felt okay with myself at that point. So I knew, like, yes, she's still there, like that girl who wanted to run and hide and make a joke or pretend I was okay, but then, so I saw myself how much I've grown mentally as well in that moment, where yes, it bothered me, but I'm not going to let that stop me from being who I am or what I want to do. Or
because who are you? Because the real person you are, it's almost like it overpowered that old safe part of you. So who was the woman that came out in that moment? What is it about her?
I think it was the first time where I felt proud of myself and loved myself. And knowing they didn't know anything I'd been through. I lost 350 pounds. I'm recovering from skin removal. They don't know my journey, so why am I gonna let them ruin this moment or where I am right now, because they know nothing about me.
So that woman, this woman who's sitting here today, it's almost as if she really has a strong sense of knowing who she is, and she's human in that people affect her. It hurt to have that. It would hurt anyone. It hurts me to hear that. But at the same time, she decided not to retreat, and instead she decided to show back up. Is that something now going all the way back? Is that something going all the way back to the beginning? Was there evidence of that woman that today exists at times showing up, even when you were playing the role of the shy fat girl?
There's actually a picture that I don't think I've ever shared. I don't think. But because I looked up to my sister so much, we took a trip. I think I was 6 or 7, so I was chubby. And she got a new bathing suit for vacation. I got the same one as her, and she got a 2-piece bikini. So I was like, well, I'm gonna do it too. And there's a picture of me. I'm under a waterfall laughing. My stomach's hanging out. And I just look like the happiest, confident little girl and so there she was, you know, but.
How old were you then?
6, 6, 7, something like that, I think.
You're looking at your fiance.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I keep looking at
No. He knows about it. Yeah.
He's seen the picture.
seen the
I have
picture.
to find it. It's been a while since. It's probably in this house somewhere. I have
Well,
to
let's
find
find it. No, if we can today, seriously, it would be cool to find it because I would love to see you look at it. I think, and you see, this is probably, it's interesting because I think of having kids, and you see kids all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really believe like there's nothing better than watching the innocence of a young child, and because in so many ways they just know who they are, right, and they're not yet tainted by this jacked up, broken world that we live in. They haven't been hurt, made fun of, and like there's just something that they just exude who they are. Mm-hmm. So that was a moment then that's so interesting.
So when I look back at that picture, I was like, and then I looked at the picture because then after I got made fun of on the beach, like in the swimming pool, I went on the beach and I said, I want to take my picture and post myself in my bathing suit because I don't care. Like, yes, it hurt my feelings. Yes, it was really mean. Yes, like you said, I'm human. It bothers me. But it came to a point where I'm like, I don't really care what they think. Like, their opinion doesn't bother me anymore. So I took a picture, posted myself in a picture in the bathing suit for like thousands of people now who've seen it. That post like went completely viral. So like literally over millions of people have seen me now in a bathing suit laughing like I don't care. So I would like to find that because I thought of that girl who didn't care then was in me a long time ago, and she's
reemerging,
coming back out.
She's coming. The layers of her are being pushed back, and the layers weren't necessarily the weight as much as it was the weight of this identity that she had, that she wore for so long. Oh, you're inspiring. I mean, I just, again, from growing up as a kid that definitely struggled with my weight, I'm thinking about that, and I'm just thinking, wow, like, there's a part of you, there's a streak of you that is, these are some words that come to mind, a little defiant, a little bit of like, I don't know, like I think of like, these really brave people that end up doing things like in response to injustice, that I see that in you. Is that a part of you that you see in yourself?
My mom uses the word stubborn, but I feel like it is in a good way because I'm very determined now to not only change my life, but to help people and to kind of fix some of the things that I don't feel are right in the whole weight loss, losing weight, health plan that we have.
Yeah.
So I think that stubbornness, as my mom calls it, is a good thing because I'm not going to take no for an answer, and I'm going to keep fighting until not only I'm happy, but everyone else kind of.
And did that little girl standing underneath the waterfall have that too? Because there are people that will be defiant and stubborn about themselves. Mm-hmm. But what I hear you saying is it's not just about me, it's about others. Right. So this concern for others, this desire to impact others, has this been something that you recently found along this journey? Or is this something that existed even back then in the little girl?
I don't know the word for it, but if someone's upset, like I see someone getting upset, I really take it in and I get upset.
Yeah. You're empathetic, empathic.
Right. And if I see someone struggling, I want to do everything I can to make them not struggle anymore because it's making me upset to see them struggle type of way. And I think I've always been that way. Like my mom and my sister are criers. They cry over everything. And so I think I'm not as emotional as them, but I don't like seeing other people upset.
Yeah.
So I think, and that was a big part of it too, because I took on so many people's emotions and feelings and wanted everyone to be happy, and I wanted to make everyone laugh and smile. And I think that internally kind of hurt me a little bit too, because I took on so many emotions of so many people and carried their weight as my weight and like all of that too. But definitely when I was younger, I never wanted to see people hurt, crying, upset, struggling.
Compassionate.
Yeah.
Compassionate. Stubbornly compassionate.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to have, right? That's how a lot of, if you think of a lot of people that have made a lot of amazing change, they've been stubbornly compassionate. If you had the ability to, if someone put you in a position, and I know we have similar hearts, we just met, but I know we have similar hearts in this of wanting to like be stubbornly compassionate about
Right.
changing the way things are done. If someone said, you know, I'm going to put you on at the head of the board, and you're going to be able to influence the policymakers, the doctors, the whole weight loss industry, all of them are going to be at your beck and call to what you want to see happen. What would be a vision that you have for the future of how someone like yourself would enter into an office and say, hey, I'm morbidly obese and I want to lose weight, but I don't just want to lose weight, I want to rewrite my whole story. What kind of vision, or what are the pieces of the vision that you have for what that would look like?
I feel like this is like a big one.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be more of taking people and treating them as a human being, first of all. I've seen so many doctors who treat me less than because of my weight and say, well, once you lose weight, you know, that's the issue. Because I went in for a cold one time. Well, you really need to lose weight. That would help.
It was just all back there.
And so I think actually listening to people and treating them as a human being is the first step in helping anybody, to making them feel loved, respected, cared for. Because if we don't have that, then there's no way people can transform or change or do anything if you don't feel like you have someone who's on your side. Mm-hmm. Because for me, honestly, like I had such a supportive family and friends, but like the medical side of it was not there. Like my doctors, anybody was not. They wanted me to have weight loss surgery and push me aside is pretty much what I felt. And when I said, I'm going to do this on my own, nobody believed I could do it.
And then again came that stubborn.
And then that's when I think I was
determination.
kind of like, watch me, I'm going to do it.
But you
Right?
want to see a future where people, you'll walk in, and part of what the you know, Jacqueline in 20 years from now will experience, someone in a similar spot, would be that they would actually be seen as a human being.
Right.
And they'd be met with the same compassion that you have in your heart. That would be
Exactly.
a part of it. What other elements would exist?
And I think it would have to be someone to tell you, you know what, I know you're struggling and we're here to help you in all aspects. Not just to lose weight, but figure out why you gained weight in the first place, help you after you lose weight.
Yes.
And during the whole process, I think, and making sure that they have someone to talk to, like a counselor or a therapist during the whole journey, because I definitely think that would have helped me if I had that. So treating people with respect, getting them the help they need, both the physical, mental, and just letting them know, like, we're here to take care of you and help you in all aspects, because this is going to be a long journey, but we're going to do whatever we can to kind of help you do it.
It's that holistic view. I always say that this is such a big, and you know it because you've lived it. This is when people lose weight. You know, we'll talk about if someone's getting ready to get married, or if someone's getting ready to have a baby or move across the country, we say, oh my gosh, this is a major life transition. Mm-hmm. You know, watch out. And then there's all this proverbial wisdom that comes with, like, oh, you know, when you get married, you're going to have to, and
Right.
then, but we don't get that when it comes to
No.
weight loss. However, wouldn't you say that it needs to be recognized as a major life transition?
I do. The way you feel about yourself, the way you're treated, the way others treat you, how you view yourself, how you live your life, like, it's so huge when you're going through something like this, that I feel like unless you've gone through it, you don't know how big life changes. It's not just, oh, now I weigh less. Like, so.
And I think the key, always the keys are, they're twofold. One is educating people, but the other is story. And that's why I think even having a chance to talk with you today, and for you sharing your story, and if people aren't aware, which I imagine they should be, but you know, you have a huge social media following to where you're able to share your story, and you're able to take moments like you experienced at the pool, and not just, you know, use those moments to continue to rewrite your own story, but probably encourage so many others. What's it like did you ever plan on having a following that big on social media? Because it's pretty massive.
I actually started my social media like a few weeks before I had my first skin removal surgery.
Wow.
And I did it just to document the whole process, because when I tried to find like before pictures or videos of me when I first started working out, I didn't have any because I was so embarrassed. I was like, do not. Like, I'm working out, do not have a camera, a picture. I don't care if I ever see what I looked like this again. Like, I'm just and I'm focused on me, I don't care. But looking back, I do wish I had some of those things. Not just to share, but like for me personally, for me to see how far I've come.
Yeah.
And so I told Kevin, my fiance, like, I just want to document it. Like, document this new journey I'm going on with having all these surgeries, and kind of just post them to have it mostly for myself, mostly for family and friends to keep up with surgery or what's going on. And so we kind of did it for a few weeks leading up to surgery, posted like some before and afters. And then I remember we posted a picture, me just before I went into surgery. And when I came out of surgery, you know, after a few days, Kevin's like, you have a few thousand followers. And I was like,
what was that? Yeah, like,
what
was that like for you to hear that?
And then as it kept going, and then I think maybe a month after that, the local news saw it, and then I was on the news for my weight loss, and then I was on the Today Show, and then like, so it just completely just like all like took off without me even trying or hoping or thinking anything would ever happen with this.
Was there a part of you that was hesitant to say yes to those interviews and to say yes to continue to growing it, or did it just feel right?
I think a little bit of it was why me. Like, I feel like I haven't, at that point, I feel like I haven't really done anything deserving of this. I lost weight, is what I kind of thought. And so for all these people to want to ask me all these questions or tell me how amazing I was or how I didn't really get it at first, because I was like, I was someone who was morbidly obese, and now I've lost weight. I haven't done anything.
But now are you a bit more clear on why you?
A little bit.
Why you?
I'm still not as, I still sometimes question it, like, why me or why my story? Like, sometimes I find myself thinking, like, I just lost weight. I didn't cure cancer, or I didn't do something big like that. And then you get messages of someone saying, because of your picture, I wore a bathing suit for the first time ever. Or because of you, I've now lost 50 pounds and I'm loving myself. Or because of you now, and that's when I kind of step back and I'm like, this is so much bigger than I'd ever imagined it could be. And that's when I think I said, I really need to start using this for what I'm passionate about and what I feel needs to come out, and use my platform for good, essentially, because it is impacting all these people, whether I feel like I was deserving of it or not. Like, it is affecting so many people in such a positive way that I need to keep doing this, because I want to make a difference and a change, especially in the issues that I'm so passionate about, like the mental health aspect and the skin removal, where companies and insurance companies consider it all just cosmetic. And it's all out of pocket that you pay, and no doctor wants to help you hear about the skin. And I actually had a doctor when I went who told me my mental health didn't matter to her, that the skin was just cosmetic. She didn't care if it was causing me mental issues with it. That's not going to kill me. People have it worse than me. I should be happy that I lost weight and I'm alive. And
my God.
Yeah. And I'm not a very vocal person. I don't like, if I'm upset with someone, my thing is I'll walk away and calm down instead of confronting someone. And I was yelling in her office at her to a point where Kevin was with me. He's like, enough, get your clothes back on, we're leaving.
But you're, and again,
and
get your clothes back. So you're sitting there,
with all my skin hanging out, all these issues I'm having with it. And I have a doctor telling me that I should be just happy that I'm alive. I should be happy with the skin, and if I want it removed, it's cosmetic, because my mental health didn't matter to her. Those were the exact words out of her mouth.
So, and that's what I mean, like, you've endured some, like, again, the moments, you've already shared a couple of these moments where so many people would have just, in my mind, and I wouldn't have blamed them if they just walked away and said, screw it. Like, be devastated to the point, like, how did you not go home and eat for like 3 months straight after that?
I think I used that as a way, like, it kind of angered me so much where I'm like, okay, she's telling me this. I know that's not right. I'm not the only one who's dealing with this. And I'm going to do everything in my power, not to like take her down, like in a way like that, but it's like to prove her wrong, that it's not right what she's doing and how she's treating people.
Yeah, it goes back to, again, that like stubborn compassion,
Right.
like and the sense of considering more than just yourself. So yeah, I'm gonna get what I need done here, but I know that
I'm
there's
going
other
to prove
people.
that skin removal is not cosmetic, that it needs to be covered, and that she has no right saying that.
Just that, and honest, I look at people throughout history that have done amazing things, and I think that's typically the qualifying question. I think that, in my opinion, I don't think God uses people that are convinced, why not me? I think it's usually the people that are, why me? Like, who am I? I'm just some,
Yeah.
And those are the people that typically get used to do the most amazing things. And so I just, I want to reflect that back, that if you're asking yourself that, watch out. That means
Yeah.
this is only the beginning of
Right.
being used in so many other ways.
And I think too, like I've talked to my family and stuff about, is a lot of people get told, no, it's not covered, and they go home, cry, move on, and they don't do anything about it.
Yes.
And for me, I have that passion to like keep fighting it where most people wouldn't. And I feel like since I have that in me, like that stubbornness and determination and wanting to change, that if it has to be me, then I'm going to be the one who's going to do as much as I can to get things fixed, because I know I'm not going to take no for an answer. Because I'm just not. I've been told no for skin removal like 1,000 times so far. I've gotten 1,000 literally denial letters for it. And then the next day I just go and do more.
It's kind of like now that you've discovered that this is your passion, your calling, that it's just, this is what you're here for. You're here to continue to push this thing forward. You're here to continue to heal and grow in your own journey, mm-hmm. but also to further that of others. And like you said, you're not taking no for an answer.
Right.
Yeah. I think I'm just laughing to myself because I'm like, I can see the similarity. That I'm very similar in that sense. It's hard, but to take no for an answer. But to go back, I'm curious, going back again before losing the weight, were you quite this determined, or has this been something that unfolded, like you getting back in touch with that younger version of you? Like, has this been some momentum you've gained throughout the journey, or was it something that you even had prior to losing the weight?
I talked to my mom a little bit about this, and she said I've always kind of been, what's the word? Like if I wanted to do something, I was just going to do it. Like she said, for her dad, my grandpa, he quit smoking overnight because he had his first grandchild. My cousin was born, and he didn't want to smoke anymore because he had grandchildren, and my mom was getting pregnant, and so he said, I'm going to stop smoking.
Amazing.
The next day he stopped smoking, and he never smoked again.
So crazy amount of willpower, like mentally just can just make a decision.
So she's like, I see a lot of him in you, in those things, and I've always seen it. So when you said, I'm going to lose 300 pounds, because as a goal, they said, well, why don't you try 20 pounds? Why don't you try to lose 50 pounds? It's like, no, my goal is 300. And they're like, well, I don't know if you can do it. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it. My goal is 300. And everyone was kind of like, okay. And my mom's like, I always knew you would do it, because that's who you are. And especially when you had people telling you you were not going to do it, she said, I knew that flame was lit inside of you that, okay, you don't think I'm going to do it, so now I'm going to do it even more.
So that's a great way to get you to do something.
Yeah.
I don't think you can do it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're actually able
right?
to pull this off. So you grew up though with the weight on. You grew up with being, the shy fat girl, and that was your identity. I'm just so curious about how does that person get to a certain point where they're so determined and so with unwavering belief that this is going to happen. Like, what was the turning point? Was there a rock bottom moment emotionally that led to this determination? When you look back to right before making the decision to lose 300 pounds, what led to that key moment?
So we're a huge Disney family. Like I said, Disneyland is my favorite place in the entire world. And we kind of went at least once a year ever since I was in my mom's stomach. We went. And we kind of had to not go because I couldn't walk. I knew I didn't fit on the rides. And so emotionally, that was really hard for me to not go, or to pretend, oh yeah, I don't want to go, because I knew I wouldn't be able to walk. I knew I wouldn't be able to fit on the rides. So anytime we tried to plan a trip, I was like, yeah, I don't want to go this year, and tried to play it off like I didn't want to, which killed me inside, which then led to me covering it up, pretending I was okay, eating, that whole cycle.
Vicious cycle.
And I remember one year my sister had a meeting down there, and so she's like, just come with me, let's go to Disneyland, let's whatever. And so I was like, I'm in a really bad place right now. I said, maybe that will help me, because it couldn't get worse, I thought, than like where I was. So we went down to Disneyland, Kevin, my sister, and I had to get a wheelchair because I could barely walk from the car to the entrance. And I remember riding down Main Street in the wheelchair like, I hate my life right now. Like, and I was so embarrassed, people staring at you, looking at you. Oh, there's the fat girl in the wheelchair because she can't walk. Like, every time someone looked at me, I thought of all these horrible things that they must be thinking. And it made me feel awful about myself. And so I didn't go on any rides. I didn't do, because I was like, I know I'm not going to fit. Like, I can barely fit in this wheelchair. Like, I know I'm not going to fit. And so there's one ride, like in like the kid rides, where I was like, well, they don't really have seatbelts. You kind of just sit. I'll fit on that. I'll go on that. And I went to go through like the turnstile to get on the ride, and I got stuck. And that moment, like, people are like, go, trying to get you through, and I was like, I couldn't even get out or keep going to go through.
What happened for you in that very moment?
I was like, I wanted to start hysterically crying. And so I reverted back to the old way, and I was laughing, making jokes about it, got myself unstuck, got out of the line. Kevin and my sister were like, are you okay?
How
like,
long did that moment last in actuality? It probably felt like it forever.
It felt like 20 minutes. No, it was probably like a few seconds, not even. Like enough to get stuck and then kind of like, then like pull yourself back out.
But that moment was so defining for you.
And then I remember I went to the bathroom and bawled my eyes out. I literally I pretended I was fine, so I'm just gonna go to the bathroom, and sat there like, something needs to change. Like, you cannot live like this.
So when
and
it
so
was you
I
in
went
that
home.
bathroom in that moment, though, just slow that moment down. You're in that bathroom, and you were bawling your eyes out. What was the predominant feeling? Was it just sadness, or was there more boiling up inside you?
I think it was, you've been living a life that's not yours for so long, and you're so unhappy. Like, you need to do something to change it. And in that moment, I thought it was just my weight. So I thought, you have to lose weight because then everything will be better. And that's...
But you knew that it wasn't your own. You said you're living a life that's not your own, or like that's not yours. So there was something even about in that moment, after going through that emotional embarrassment and just all of that, like in that moment, how do you make sense of the fact that it sounds like there was a part of you that still knew that like that wasn't what you were destined to be living?
I feel like in that moment I thought my weight just got completely out of hand, and that all these, because people assume like, or they think nobody loved you because they let you get to that point. Why didn't anyone stop you from getting to that point? And I remember like I had talks with my family, my cousin, like everyone kind of came in a way like, your weight's getting out of hand, like, and I would always just get angry and pretend it was fine. And I think in that moment it was like, okay, it's really gotten out of hand. I can't pretend anymore that I don't have an issue, or that I don't need to lose weight, or that, I think in that moment it was like all that those people who were trying to help me were not attacking me, or, you know, it was something that was genuinely a concern.
Yeah.
And in that moment I was kind of just like, we need to lose weight, because your weight is holding you back from so much, and it's holding you back from living your life, that we need to lose weight.
What dreams did you have even in that bathroom in that moment that were unrealized, that you knew like it was going to be holding you back from if you didn't change?
I was already told that I would never be able to have kids at that weight.
And you want to have kids?
Eventually, yeah. Mm-hmm. Especially in that moment, I knew eventually.
Yeah.
Probably get married, like all that stuff, and I knew if I can't even be in Disneyland now, like how am I ever going to take my kids here? Because I couldn't even be able to have kids, or if I did, I couldn't take them here. And then I'd be in a wheelchair with them here, like... But I don't think I realized as much in that moment of who I wanted to be. I just knew that wasn't who I wanted to be. But I didn't know who I was or who I wanted to be. I just knew this girl right here was not me.
And when you walked out of that bathroom, who did you tell first that you had that rock bottom realization?
I didn't tell anyone.
You didn't tell anyone?
Mm-mm.
So it was just
We
you.
went on with the trip, and I didn't say anything.
And so you go on with the trip, you don't say anything. Did you even like process with anyone about how painful it was to get stuck in the turn?
Now, yes.
But not that,
No.
like you didn't walk out. It was one of those moments of how you survived. Like you laughed it off and just kind of moved on.
Right.
But the moment that felt like it was lasted forever, no one really knew how
No.
painful that was for
No.
you.
I never talked. Even when we came home, I didn't tell anyone.
And then it led to change. What was the first thing that you did then to take action on that feeling and that determination and that decisions that you were going to change?
I remember I woke up one morning and I told Kevin, I'm going to start losing weight today. I'm going to do it today. I'm going to lose over 300 pounds and I'm just going to do it.
Had you ever declared that to him before?
No.
So you
I
never
feel like,
declared, yeah.
and it's a weird thing because even when I look back at it, and it's hard to explain, so I'll try to explain it the best I can. But it's like when I was in that moment, I was such in denial or pretending I didn't have a problem, or I didn't want to realize I had a problem, or I didn't want to, never stood on a scale, hardly looked in a mirror. Like I wanted to pretend nothing was wrong. And so if I talked about it to someone or talked about my weight to someone, it would make me feel embarrassed. So then I just didn't do it. When clearly, like, when people look at you, they know there's an issue. But I feel like if I talked about it, it would have brought attention to it, and I didn't want that.
Yeah, like it made it real.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then I didn't do it at all. So that's why I got so angry when people tried to talk to me about it, because it made it real, and it made me embarrassed that I was at that point. And I think that's why I got so angry and defensive, and because I just didn't want to address it, talk about it, anything.
But Kevin was the first person you told. That seems significant. Why tell Kevin first?
I don't know. I just remember I woke up one morning, and I don't know if it's just that willpower, the determination I have, but something inside me was like, today's the day I'm going to do this. And it was like a few months even after the Disneyland incidents, because I kept thinking about it over and over in my head. What do I do? How do I lose weight? What am I going to do? How do I do this? Who do I tell? Who do I ask for help? What do I do? Do I have weight loss surgery? There was so much to think about. And then
All
I
on
remember,
your own, yeah.
and I would never talk about it. And then that's why when I woke up that morning, I just had I felt different. And I don't know how to explain it. I can't still explain it to this day. I just woke up and I felt different. And I felt like today's the day. So literally I started that day and didn't stop.
Yeah, how do you make sense of that feeling? What do you think that is? Is that like the universe, God's, is it something inside of you that just like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I am religious, so you can say it was a moment of God or a moment of someone coming to me and saying you can do this, but to like explain it or have words for it is hard.
Well, those are some of the best things, or the things we can't explain or put into words. It's a feeling, it's personal to you. You know it, and it exists inside you. That was the day that you knew it was going to be different. And then you went and started to, you had chosen, or you had looked at so many different programs and ended up, was it Jenny Craig that you ended up deciding? Why Jenny Craig?
I used Jenny Craig in the past, and I knew it worked. And so I didn't know really anything else, and I didn't want to ask for help. I just kind of wanted to, I was like, I don't want to hear anyone's opinion, what I should do, what I shouldn't do. Should I never eat carbs again? I said, I don't want anything. I need to go with something that's easy, that's going to work, and that I could do today, like right now. And so.
And that's probably important to tell people who may be listening, who are hearing your story and thinking, where do I start? There's a definitely paralysis of analysis out there when it's an overwhelming feeling to look at all the information about how to get healthy. So many different workouts, so many different ways of eating. It sounds like for you, probably what you can pass along to people too is it's not so much about which is the best. It's just
right. I'm not sitting here as an advocate like you have to do Jenny Craig to lose weight. It's the only way you can do it, because I honestly don't even talk about it much. I just tell people you need to find what works for you and what you're going to be able to stick to. So for me, I knew that I was never going to be able to not eat bread during this whole time. That wasn't going to work for me.
Not realistic.
It was going to set me up to fail.
Yeah.
And you can call that whatever you want. People say, well, that's just you being lazy, that you're not going to give that up because you have to eat carbs. And it's like, you have to do what works for you.
Yes.
And so I knew a program that was all high protein when I don't really eat that much meat to begin with, when I had to give up carbs, it wasn't going to work. And so that's why I tell people you have to do what works for you, what you're going to be able to sustain to be able to not only lose weight, but to continue your life. Because I'm not one who I'm like, we have to go on a fad diet, do whatever, and then, not eat carbs for 30 days, do whatever, and then you can go back to doing what you were doing before.
Yeah, especially when you know that this is going to be, did you have a sense of what an undertaking it would be, 300 pounds? How long did it take you to lose 300 pounds?
3.5 years.
3.5 years. And earlier when we were talking, you said that for that 3.5 years, you were pretty locked in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're not pretty locked, you were locked in.
Right.
Yeah. So what does that mean, that you were locked in? Like, were you ever cheating, or were you ever going off plan, or?
When we went to baseball games, I brought my Jenny Craig food with me. Thanksgiving, I was eating my own Jenny Craig food. If we went out to a restaurant, I brought it with me. So it was I was very determined to do it. And even when we went on vacation to Hawaii before any of my skin removal surgeries, I think I was right around at my goal weight, but not quite ready for skin removal. I found a Jenny Craig near our hotel and ate Jenny Craig food the whole week in Hawaii. So it was pretty...
And was that,
locked in.
Pretty intense, pretty locked in. Yeah, we'll take the word pretty away.
Yeah.
You were locked in, on a whole different level. Was that hard? Was that a hard thing for you, or was that just a sacrifice that you made as part of the process? But here you are vacationing in Hawaii. A lot of people would go, hey, this is my opportunity where I deserve this. This is for me.
I feel like for me, and even now, I struggle with eating kind of sometimes now, but my biggest thing is what is going to make me happy and what do I want to do. And for me, I wasn't going on vacation for the food. I was going to relax, to get away, to not have work for a week, to be with my family, and to just chill. And so that's what I went to do. And it wasn't, I'm going to drink all the alcohol, eat, stuff my face, have dessert every night, because that's going to calm me down. Because I feel like I've come so far, I'm not turning to food, that I thought on vacation I'm not going to go back to the old ways. And so what's going to make me feel most in control is sticking to my program, eating my food, and not making vacation about food.
What a we talk about rewriting your story, but it's also rewriting your story with food, renegotiating your relationship with food. You clearly got to a point where life wasn't all about food, but I imagine, again, this is my own projection from my own story, but for me, it used to always be about, what city am I visiting? Let's go to Yelp. Let's find the best restaurant. Everything was geared around food. So how was that for you along the way? It sounds like you learned to not make life all about food. Specifically, when you had a really hard day emotionally and you would have went to food in the past, how did you stop doing that?
I'm actually still trying to figure it out, because I've recently realized that I am more a binge eater, where I can go for long periods of time, stay on program, and then I know we were talking about, you have your trigger foods or foods, and I have one bite of it and then I'm like, oh, I already messed up, and I cannot stop myself for that whole day.
Yeah.
To a point where I was getting myself sick because I kept shoveling food and I could not stop.
Yeah.
And so that's still something I struggle with now, where I'm, for the most part, I'm not trying to lose weight. I'm just kind of trying to keep going on my plan. and then there'll be that one moment where my friend's like, oh, let's go out to dinner, let's go here, and then it'll trigger something, and then I like can't stop. So I'm trying to balance that right now, because last year on vacation I thought, I'm not eating my own food, I'm going to eat whatever I want, and then that was really hard for me mentally to then come home and get back on. Like, I really struggled with it. So I'm trying to find that balance now of not all or nothing, but that living in the middle.
Yeah, living in the gray.
Yeah.
Yeah, and deciding what areas of that you can do, and like we talked about, like some people can live in the gray easier than others, and some others, you know, it's a struggle.
But I think what's helping me not turn to food, like your question, is reminding myself, you know what, when you're tired, when you're stressed, and you have a lot going on, those are when you turn to food, and reminding yourself that, hey, these triggers are going off, like you're struggling with this, you're really tired, you haven't slept in whatever a few days. It's not that you want food, it's that you're tired. And I think reminding myself of that, and reminding myself that like I have the power inside of me, whether I'm going to give in to that or what else can I do. And so I'm finding that reminding myself of those triggers and being aware of them has definitely helped, where I can say, you know what, it's just taking me to that negative place. I'm tired, I'm stressed out, maybe I have a lot of work to get done, maybe I just need to go to bed right now, calm myself down, take a shower, take a bath, go for a walk, and calm down, instead of just quickly just turning to the food like it would be before.
So that's retraining your brain on how to respond to those trigger feelings. Did someone help you with that? Because it's like you're sounding more and more like either a therapist,
I know.
or someone
I feel like
or
sometimes.
someone that's had a good amount of therapy. So have you had a good amount of therapy? Or? Amazing. That's really cool. So how did you discover those strategies that typically are only learned in therapy?
I feel like I kind of had to think like what's working for me and what's not, and I really had to sit down with myself and say like, going on vacation and completely restricting yourself probably isn't the healthiest thing to do. On the second hand, going and completely binging out and eating whatever you want is probably not the best thing too. So thinking, what is like that gray area? What is that for me? Where am I going to be okay with still kind of having that control, so I'm not completely going overboard, but where is it where I'm still going to allow myself to live life and not count calories every second of every day for the rest of my life. So it's just sitting down with myself a lot, and I'm a very internal person, and I'm more logically, I think, and so sitting down with myself and just like writing in a journal has definitely helped me kind of figure out what's going on and what I need to do to make the changes and I think being aware that, okay, I am a binge eater, these are my triggers, this is when I turn to food, what else can I do, has definitely helped.
You mentioned the word a couple times, control. The feeling that you had when you were on the program of Jenny, like being in control and at times feeling out of control. How big is that feeling? Like how bothersome is it to feel out of control now? Like with food, does that really, even now that you've lost the weight, in the moments where you do feel like you're out of control, does that scare you a bit?
I think so, and I know I've changed so much I couldn't ever go back to the person I was, but I think that fear of if I lose control and I don't count my calories or stay with where I'm supposed to be, I feel like tomorrow I'm gonna wake up and be that other girl again.
Yeah. When
realistically that can't happen, I have that fear of if I completely just let go of control, then I'm gonna wake up and be 500 pounds again.
Yeah, you're reminding me of things that a part of what we talked about is this sort of conversation we're having right now. There may be many conversations about weight loss or obesity or food and binge eating, but chances are not a lot right now are happening around the world like the one we're having right now. There's all these different levels of truth that if you got a bunch of people in the room who've gone through this, they'd be nodding their head like bobbleheads if they were listening. And when they are listening to this interview, they're going to nod their heads like bobbleheads, like, oh my God, I'm not all alone. And like one of those truths that we talked about that's universal that you found in this journey. And I want to kind of rattle off a few, and maybe you can just speak on them before we end today, is weight loss is not going to cure everything. There is no magic pill, right? I mean, that's something you've learned along the way.
I lost 300 pounds and I still looked in the mirror and thought, why am I not happy? Why do I not love myself now? Why am I not jumping up and down, the happiest girl in the world? Because I'm finally at a place where 3 years ago, I wanted to be so badly. Like, I literally would say, oh, if I can lose 1 pound a week, that's this much a month. What would mean in a year I can lose this much. So by this, I'll be like, I was trying to calculate every single to get me to this point, because then I thought everything would be better, and nothing is really better except I weigh less now. So why don't I love myself? What is missing? What? And so that was hard.
And that's something that, do you feel like today that you're actively growing in that regard? Do you love yourself more and more each day, each month?
I think once I figured out that weight loss wasn't the magic pill, and it had to come from within, of accepting who you are, loving yourself throughout your journey, I think that definitely helped me realize, like, I might not be where I want to be yet, but that shouldn't stop me from loving who I am today. So, and I know I get, well, you must not love yourself or be confident with yourself if you're having skin removal. And I switch it and I say, no, it's because I love myself and I want what's best for my overall health and happiness. That's why I'm having skin removal.
That's why, yeah.
It doesn't mean I don't love who I am right now. It doesn't mean that I think now once I have skin removal, I'll love myself more. It's I'm doing what's best for me. And that self-care is loving myself and doing what's,
Yeah, it's not a condition that you have to meet in order to love yourself. It's a declaration of that love that you already have and that you're rediscovering day by day.
Right. And I think owning that moment on the beach where I was made fun of and I kind of didn't care, I think that was a huge turning point for me in my whole journey, where it went from a weight loss journey to now a self-love journey. So for the last 2 years, it's really switched, and it's not about losing weight really anymore. It's about loving who I am and continuing to do what's best for myself.
And that is rewriting your story.
Yes.
There will come a time in your journey, we often tell people, where even though you've lost the weight, you may feel like, and you talked about this, you may still feel like you're that old version of you. You may still feel like you're 500 pounds. You may still feel, you may look in the mirror and not recognize yourself and be scared. Right? Are these experiences that you've had?
I'll sometimes still walk into the mall and be looking at clothes and think these salespeople probably are wondering why I'm here, because probably nothing's going to fit me here.
Yeah.
And I'll take things into the dressing room thinking, well, these probably aren't going to fit, but I might as well try them on, and I'll still grab the biggest size they have. Or if something smaller fits and I go to buy it, I still think, well, they probably think this isn't going to fit me. Or why am I buying this? Because it's not my size. So definitely still have those moments, or look in the mirror and be like, wow, I'm still really fat. And different things like that. And I hate that word, and I would never say it to anyone, but somehow when I look at myself, those are the words that come. And so that's why I'm trying to change that, because
Well,
yeah.
And one thing I can tell you, I tell this to people a lot, because I've found that journey from what we now know about the brain is, it's like the brain is slowly updating. It's like our phone gets updates every few months. Our brain is still slowly getting these updates to remind, okay, like the image is slowly adjusting, the identity, and so there's almost parts of us that are still protectively trying to hold back from feeling that pain or that rejection. And so it takes time, but I think the important part, and probably what is that it gets better with time. Yeah, it does.
The more you practice it and keep doing it, it does get better. So
there will come a time where, and this is another one of these, again, these universal truths, there will come a time where in your journey, friends and family in society will resist part of your journey. They'll resist some of your weight loss. They may resist it by the extreme version of sabotaging, by legitimately almost going out of their way intentionally to sabotage, bringing potato wedges when they know that's your trigger food, or whatever it may be. And there may be even unconscious levels of resistance that comes. Have you experienced some of that? Did you experience some of that in this journey?
I have some people who I was very close to, friends, who now don't talk to me anymore. And they've blamed it on, well, you're just always so busy, you're always at the gym, you don't go out and eat, you don't drink, and kind of just completely shut me out. I've definitely had people who will bring donuts over to try to celebrate different things when they know that's one of my triggers. They're like, oh, why can't you just eat one? Have one. Why aren't you eating one? That's so annoying, you can't just eat one. And then people who just, tell you, oh my God, you've lost so much weight. Why are you still trying to lose weight? You're so crazy. You're obsessed with this. You've already lost 100 pounds. Isn't that good enough? Why are you still trying to lose more? And then even now, why are you still trying to lose weight? Why are you losing weight? Why do you need so many surgeries? Why aren't you just leaving the skin that you have? Why, so it's a lot, where people don't understand, I think, or are kind of upset that they're trying to lose weight and they can't do it, so then they put it on you,
It pulls all their own stuff up.
Right.
And one of the things that when I was working with the Biggest Loser folks, we found is that people that are successful long term, they have this really strong why, but they also continue to redefine their story by how they respond. So are you responding, how do you respond to that resistance? Is it similar to how you would growing up, or and maybe internalize a lot and not say anything, or do you find yourself standing up for yourself more and more with time?
I think it's both. I think if people are just downright mean or don't want to be friends anymore or talk anymore, I kind of just let it go. It's not worth my time to kind of argue with them or try to justify myself to them. But other times if people say, for example, in Hawaii, the server brought over this big cake for everyone to share, and he gave me a fork and I said, no thank you. And he goes, well, just eat one bite. And I said, I don't want to. And he goes, you're on vacation with your family, just eat one bite. And Kevin's like, she's not going to. And he's like, why? And I said, I'm trying to lose weight. He goes, just one bite. And literally I felt like it was 5 minutes. He was standing there arguing with me to eat a bite of cake. And I feel like that's when that stubborn came. And I was like, well, now I'm really not going to do it if you're telling me. So I think it is the more I get confident with myself and who I am and who I want to be, it gets easier for me to stand up for myself in situations like that. I think when people don't understand or don't want to understand or try to, like you said, sabotage or do, but it still hurts sometimes. But
yeah, it doesn't make any of it any easier. And like we talked about before, there's so many changes that happen. It'd be so easy to go back, and that's why it's so remarkable to know that you haven't gone back. I know we don't have tons of time left, but another thing you mentioned a lot is Kevin, and I want to know more about your relationship with Kevin, as much as you feel comfortable sharing. But I know that you and Kevin are engaged right now to be married, and Kevin has been with you from the start. Kevin was the first person that you turned to that morning, a couple months after what happened at Disneyland, and said, I'm doing this. He was the person you told. He's been with you through all of this. What is that like to know that you have a partner that's been with you through all of this?
I definitely feel very lucky and blessed, because I know that's not the case for most people who go through this, especially to have someone who loves you that much when you're 500 pounds. That's crazy to me, because at that weight I couldn't even love myself. And here someone was who loved you regardless of your weight or what you look like, or that we couldn't go to Disneyland or sporting events. He loves sports. To have someone who loves you like that, and then for me to say, okay, I'm ready to lose weight, and he's like, okay, we can do this together, is really helpful. And I feel very lucky, because I know a lot of people don't have that.
Do you feel like there's certain things that Kevin has always seen in you that you're just now seeing in yourself?
Probably. Probably. I don't know what.
Was it a shock to him that you did this? That not just the weight loss, but the evolvement that you've done. Your story's so much more about weight loss than weight loss.
I know.
The evolvement that you've done and who you've evolved into as a person and who you are now as an advocate and as a leader. You think Kevin's surprised by any of that, or has he seen some of this coming?
I think he's seen it coming. I think, like we talked about, I talk about why me, and he always says it was supposed to be you to do this. You're supposed to be doing this to help people. Not only for yourself, but you're strong enough, determined enough, stubborn enough, whatever it is to make such a huge difference in this world, like he says, that's why it's you. So.
And when you think of your future together, you guys are getting married. You guys have a date?
Not yet. Well, we got engaged, I think it was 2 years into my journey, a year, almost 2 years. I think it was almost 2 years. So I'd lost almost 200 pounds when he proposed, and it was in Disneyland.
Awesome. And wasn't it nearby where everything happened, right? Or did I read that right, or no?
He proposed in front of the castle, and like around the corner was like where the ride was.
That's it.
So it definitely came full circle.
Beautiful.
And hopefully there'll be a Disney somehow wedding. It's my
okay,
dream.
that's part of it? Okay, cool.
Big dreams.
Love it.
What was the question?
Oh yeah, so you guys are getting engaged. You don't have a date yet.
Oh yeah.
But
So-
you are getting engaged.
Yes, so we're engaged. There's no date because when he proposed to me, I said my only thing is I don't want to get married in a plus size wedding dress or a wedding dress that has to be custom made to fit me. I want to walk into a store, get any dress I want and have it fit. And I want to have the skin removed. I just want to feel confident in myself.
Yeah.
And so there's a few more surgeries left, and hopefully after that we'll do something.
But I mean, it's only just a matter of time when that happens.
Right. We've been together like 11 years, so it's kind of like we're married already, but
wow.
it will be nice to have it official.
Well, I'm going to resist the temptation to ask or to jam in another 1,000 of little topics because I really feel strongly a desire to do this again. So I hope there's a chance that we can,
of course, yes,
continue and have more conversations. Because as you know, this topic is...
It's like every question could be like an hour long for itself.
100%. Yeah, 100%. But I just want to thank you. I was tearing up listening to you. You're just so inspirational.
Thank you.
And I'm so grateful that you have opened up your home to us. You've allowed us to be here.
Of course, yes.
And I really, truly hope that there's some way that I could help you in any way. Just anything we can do to your vision and your heart is so aligned with what mine is in ways that you probably don't even know yet.
I want to thank you too for bringing more awareness to this and attention to these topics because like you said, there's so much of people who lose weight and share before and afters and it's like, oh, just lose weight, it's easy, I did it, and life is so wonderful now. And that's not the case for a lot of people. And so to bring awareness to this, I think is a big thing that you're doing as well. So.
Well, hey, thank you. I'm like you. I'm stubborn. I'm compassionate. I'm determined. I'm not taking no for an answer. The worst they could say is no.
Right.
I figure I'm okay with that. So there's a lot of work to be done, but I'm excited to know that you're going to be on this journey, helping alongside me and plenty of others getting it done. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.